Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that is on a 24-hour suicide watch. That's right, we're just so gosh darn excited for the premiere of Suicide Squad Isekai coming out in 2 days. It's the only thing I can think about. It's driving me crazy. Are you excited? Are you excited, Remy?
Oh, no, I'm on Suicide Watch because of that Elden Ring DLC. It has nothing to do with Isekai.
You haven't even got to the DLC. Come on.
And I never will.
Are you giving up? Are you giving up already?
I'm giving up. Fuck that game. I've changed my mind. Elden Ring sucks. I hate that game. Stupid fucking piece of shit game.
Pay $40. Fuck this shit.
Paid $40 for some fucking expansion I'm never going to play. What is this, a Bethesda game?
I mean, I can only talk to my own experience, but I'm having a blast with the DLC. I'm fighting all the new bosses. Oh man, they are so cool. Very, very cool animations,
I don't want to hear
designs.
it. I don't want to hear it.
They got this big lion guy. He has
care.
3 phases. He has 3 phases.
I don't care.
Where he shoots like rocks and ice and lightning out of his mouth. It's fucking badass.
Shit. I'm never gonna play it. I'm giving up. I'm done. I'm done with it. Why did I make a fucking one-shot character? Why did I do that?
Well,
Why am I playing a no-hit run? Why did I even do that?
You can respec your character if you want.
No, I've only got 2 weapons in the whole game. I've only got 2 weapons in my inventory.
My mind and my will.
And now every single thing in the game, every single thing in the game kills me in 1 hit.
Well,
I hate this fucking game.
I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. You're deliberately making it hard for yourself and then complaining about how hard it is.
I have fought every single boss up to the Halig tree without taking a hit.
Well, that is impressive. That is rather impressive, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun, though.
I don't particularly respect you for doing that. You're not a hero. You're not a hero.
Who is a hero?
Apparently Harley Quinn, she's everybody's favorite hero these days, right? That's why she's getting her own anime.
I will say, with no irony, she is probably in the only 2 good DC movies they've released.
Which ones? I'm so concerned on which ones you're going to say.
The second attempt at Suicide Squad and the Harley Quinn spin-off movie.
You like the Birds of Prey movie? I never saw it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all right.
Yeah?
It's got a good cast.
I mean, I will say, everything I've seen her in, I do like Margot Robbie quite a bit. I think she's a pretty talented actress. I'll say that.
The female Ryan Gosling. Or maybe he's the male Margot Robbie. I don't know.
That statement bears unpacking, but I don't have time for it right now. And do you want to know why?
You don't have the time or the tools to really dig into that one.
Nope.
That's why Barbie was so good. It was like the perfect casting.
They are an amazing matchup, and I will say that Ryan Gosling is a much more talented comedian than he is given credit for.
Oh, absolutely. What if he was Deadpool? What if we had gone back to your earlier misunderstanding from the last episode, and they had thrown Gosling in that role?
I could see him pulling it off, honestly.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sleepier Deadpool, not quite as high energy, but like be sexier, that's for sure.
I don't know. I still think that Ryan Reynolds embodies that kind of self-aggrandizing while being self-aware smarminess that people associate with Deadpool.
Yeah, I guess I got tired of that after, the 3rd Blade movie?
I mean, I got tired of it by the end of reading Dr. McNinja.
Oh, shit.
Probably, so Dr. McNinja is probably the biggest modern influence on what Deadpool is as a character, because the guy that did that webcomic, he's been like the longest running, or one of the longest running Deadpool writers at this point. That's like his character.
You're really throwing me back through time. I have not thought of Dr. McNinja in a very, very long time.
But you can see the connection now between Reynolds Deadpool and Dr. McNinja, right?
Oh, absolutely. You
Yeah.
know what? For years, I think I was conflating Dr. McNinja and Axe Cop.
Yes, there was also some crossover there, although Axe Cop is better at this point.
It's better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, ACAB includes Axe Cop.
Sorry, Axe Cop. You are a cop. Cops suck. But also,
you are a cop.
Dr. McNinja was kind of a cop, too.
Yeah, well, you know what? Here's the thing. I hate to say this.
Doctors are cops.
No, Harley Quinn. She's a fucking cop. She's
Oh,
a
yeah.
Fed.
Oh, yeah.
She's a fucking
I mean, all
Fed.
superheroes are feds at this point, right?
Yeah, but like she is very specifically a Fed. Like she's wired up. You know, I mean, I get the premise of Suicide Squad.
Well,
but she
I mean,
is a
calling
stool
Harley.
pigeon.
Okay, no, calling Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad a Fed is like, are you implying that prisoners are federal employees?
If you get pulled off death row to be put on some kind of, I don't know, Suicide Squad, let's say, in order to do the government's dirty work, you are a Fed. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. That is Fed behavior.
Okay, so like Xander Cage in Triple X, he's a Fed?
Unfortunately, yes. Though actually, does he get away at the end? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, he does get away, but then he comes back in the third movie, Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage.
Okay, so he is a Fed then, yes.
Okay, but what if you're like a double agent spy? Like, then you're just undermining the government for the benefit of another government. That still makes you a Fed.
Oh, being a spy is also Fed behavior.
Yeah.
For sure. James Bond, Fed.
Well, I mean, he's explicitly a Fed. I mean, that's
If you work for MI6, that's Fed behavior.
that's a total giveaway. Hey, and
man.
you know,
Free
if
space.
you have an email address from a .gov, that makes you a Fed.
If you're a wandering Ronin who gets recruited to work for the local daimyo as the sword instructor for his dojo, you're a Fed.
Well, we already talked about it last episode that wandering Ronin are a type of cop, right? And thus would already count, regardless.
Yes, what with the whole it's legal to kill peasants thing, you're definitely a cop, yeah.
As long as you have more swords than the people you're killing, that makes it legal, right? That's how that works.
Oh, that's why they carry two?
Yeah, that's why they carry two.
Okay.
But as soon as three guys show up and they have one sword each, now you have crossed the barrier into illegality.
See, I thought the whole thing was like, it's like that old thing. If you don't say you're gonna kill a guy and then you kill him, that's illegal. But if you say you're gonna kill a guy and then you kill him, well, you told him. I mean, you warned him.
That's a verbal contract between two individuals.
Yeah. It's not murder at that point.
If he didn't do anything to stop himself, to sufficiently stop himself from being murdered.
This is the am I being detained of the Wandering Ronin. Sir, I am engaging you in a lethal duel now. Sir, can you hear me? I am engaging you in a lethal duel.
It's within my Second Amendment right.
You know what? That gets brought up a lot. You know, I talked a lot about reading Musashi last episode.
Uh-huh.
And whatever that's called, if it slips my mind so easily, but that actual like right that samurai have to just indiscriminately murder peasants, they talk about that a lot.
They're very casual about it.
Yeah, and not in a context where it's like maybe you shouldn't be able to do that. They're enthusiastic about it. They're like, it's cool.
Like, oh yeah, no, we're killing peasants.
Yeah.
Like, they deserve it. Look at them. They're horrible little dirt people.
If somebody bumps into you on accident in a crowded street, it's actually very cool and legal to murder them.
It would be considered rude if you didn't murder them.
Yeah, people would start questioning your authority if you didn't lop the head off some fucking rice farmer. Oh boy. See, fun era.
Fun era.
Feudal
Okay.
Japan.
All
Seems
right.
fun.
I've got a couple other news points before we move on that I just want to briefly touch on.
Wait, did we talk about the news at any point? Did I miss
Well,
it?
I was talking about the Suicide Squad release. That's news. That's current events.
Okay, but that's not happening yet. That we are rapidly approaching Suicide Squad, but it is in a few days. Excuse
2
me.
days.
I was about to say weeks. It's actually a couple days.
No, premiering for our eyes on June 27th. And boy, am I excited.
I am so goddamn excited.
I can't-
All of my favorites are there. Harley Quinn,
Joker Man.
the Joker, the rest.
Yeah. Bullets dude, right?
The guy who shoots guns.
Yeah, Hotshot, I think his name is. I don't know. The other one?
Hotshot Part 2.
James Gunn. He's probably there, right?
You can't make one of these fucking DC properties without James Gunn hovering over your shoulder. So he's involved. He's got to be involved somehow.
Yeah. He went to Japan and ate a lot of sushi off a lot of people to get this made.
Are you saying something other than that has been happening recently?
Well, I don't know for you, but definitely for me. I'll tell you something that's got my heart beating with anticipation.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think you know what I'm about to say. Because it is just about nigh time for, or should I say, nay time? For the official English release of Uma Musume Pretty Derby.
You got really close to nailing that joke.
I know. I get
really
so close.
You got so close that time.
Uma Musume finally making its way to the Western Shores. And I
Uma Musume.
cannot wait to get my hands on some gotcha action with those horse girls. I can't wait to
now
race them and
learn. Are we gonna have official installations with the whole the horse betting racing setup?
I hope they do pop-ups. I hope they do pop-ups at established racing tracks.
Not even in racing tracks. I'm thinking about the first time I saw one of those, it was just in an arcade. It was just the corner of the arcade had one of those big virtual horse racing setups.
Well, at the arcade in our hometown, there is a traditional horse racing arcade game. It would be very easy for them to just swap the hardware into the existing installation on these things, right?
Yes. Lure the kids back into physical locations by installing anime girls over the tired traditional horse-like horses.
Exactly. And you know what? You can take the horse girls that you win on your phone and you can hook it up to the arcade game and you can get bonuses in the arcade. Your horse girls will do better in the arcade, right? That's only one way that they could do this whole thing.
Wait, hold on. You saying that you could juice your favorite horse?
Yeah, I'm saying that you could play the gotcha game, invest money into juicing your horses there, and then import your juiced horse girl into these physical location arcade games.
Really? This is
I'm not saying that this is a feature. I'm saying this is one type of feature that you could do. An enterprising individual, if they knew what kind of palms to grease and who to talk to, right? This is the kind of thing you could do with this game.
This is the otaku shut-in version of the mafia shooting steroids into daddy's favorite right before the race. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, something into that. And it's funny you bring up the mafia because I don't know if you had heard this before. I just recently stumbled on to this whole rabbit hole concerning the connection between Uma Musume and the Yakuza. Do you know anything about this? Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about this.
Okay, so the reports were, from what I read, when Uma Musume first came out in Japan, Yakuza, or people connected to them, would go around to online forums for Uma Musume and request that the forum members not post or draw not safe for work art of the horse girls because they are based off of real horses owned by the Yakuza. And they find the concept uncomfortable.
So it has nothing to do with illegal activity. It's just purely they're upset at the aesthetic.
I mean that is the cursory story, but I mean, come on, it's horse racing. Of course they're involved in other ways, but that's not the point of this particular story. I just thought it was
See,
funny.
I would think that they would take an angle where, like, okay, now we have a psychological advantage where we can actually get people to bet on the wrong horse based purely on their own, like, personal affection for the character. We can actually, like, wage psychological warfare and, like, bilk people out of their money without even having to choose the horses.
Here's the thing. You have to consider that in the world of Uma Musume, the horse girls are the reincarnated souls of recently deceased horses from our world.
You made that very clear.
And so you can't do that because all the horses that they would be, emotionally attached to in girl form would be dead already. They're not winning races. They're not even in the races.
See, I think they should put them back in.
You think that they should introduce a new generation of pretty derby contestants that are based on existing racehorses?
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, who knows? That could be what they're working towards. It's definitely what I would do. Now that you've suggested it, that sounds like a great idea for exploiting money.
This feels like such an easy layup. It's incredible to me that they haven't done this already. Like, the natural audience for horse racing, I mean, that's dwindling, right? There are not a lot of people going to the Kentucky Derby, right? This is becoming much like traditional, like, boomer pastimes, like fox hunting or whatever. It's kind of going by the wayside, Well, there's so many more attractive ways to bet on things these days that, like, horse racing just seems antiquated at this point.
Yes.
It's dusty, as the kids say. It's dusty.
Absolutely. Now, here's what I would suggest, a slightly different take. We're all aware of VTuber technology at this point, right?
I've been made aware.
You've been around the VTube block once or twice.
I've seen some screenshots of certain things that I found upsetting.
Now I suggest that we continue the real horse racing, right? But we present it to the audience via a layer of VTuber horse girl. And so you're not actually seeing the physical real horses race anymore, but you are seeing animated versions of them that do keep in actual synchronicity to the real race going on. That way you can ensure that it's a fair race, right? Because it's still real people racing. But now you have the added benefit of seeing it in horse girl form.
We live in a world where slot machines no longer have moving parts. Pachinko machines are just graphical displays. There's no reason not to do this,
Yeah. It's the logical next step.
Yeah, all you need is an app like, DraftKings or whatever, your virtual betting app that have all essentially become legalized overnight somehow. And now they're, like, advertising on fucking ESPN and shit.
I mean, they're just doing the same thing that all these other app companies are doing, like Uber and Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
They're creating a weird, nebulous fourth market to get around regulations on actual industries that have already been regulated.
I mean, fuck. I imagine the Yakuza are jealous of this shit because really the business model of these companies like DraftKings are just, we're going to stare down the regulators and see who blinks first.
It turns out it's them. It turns out they blinked almost right away.
It's almost always them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This feels like a very lucrative market that's not being utilized fully.
Well, all I can say is that I would put all of your investment money in horse girls right now.
You are literally chomping at the bit.
Nice one. Nice. That's how you execute a joke.
That's how you do it.
God damn it. God damn it.
You're welcome.
All right.
So those were kind of the two most exciting things of your week.
Yes. Well, there's one other thing I briefly wanted to mention. In the wake of the success of the Urusei Yatsura remake anime, they just announced a new remake of the Ranma 1/2 anime, which
sure.
I think I might check it out this time around. I never did it for the first one, but that's what the intention is, right? They're bringing it to a modern audience.
I get why you do that. but I get it more for Urusei Yatsura than I do for Ranma because, I mean, obviously you wouldn't know, but I've watched a lot of Ranma in a lot of different periods of my life. It fucking looks great.
Yeah, it still holds up.
They kind of nailed it the first time, you know? I'm not really sure what you would do to make it better. I feel like they can only make it worse. I'm just saying, it's a weird choice.
Well, we will see, but I wanted to give that a shout out because it's something that I will look forward to in the future.
I mean, have you read Ranma? Have you interacted with Ranma at any point? Did you play the fucking PS1 fighting game?
No, I mean, I've read the first volume a long time ago. It did not hook me as a 15-year-old boy, but I feel like maybe I have different context on my outlook. I like different things now. I'm willing to give it a new shot.
The whole gender flipping thing made you really uncomfortable and you couldn't figure out why.
I did figure out why. It turns out I just sucked.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I like Ranma a lot. Ranma fucking rules. It absolutely kicks ass. I definitely day one for that shit. I'm just saying. I'm skeptical.
Okay. All right. Well, we will see. Okay. I think that covers it for everything that crossed my radar.
Wow. News roundup.
Yeah, that was my news roundup.
Incredible.
Insert news music here.
Note to editor. Yes. Okay, well, I didn't fucking do any news at all. I was fully checked out. Like I said, I was coming to hate Elden Ring in most of my free time. I did read some manga though.
Oh, no way. I also read some manga. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you read some new manga or some very old manga? Because I read very old manga.
I read some new manga, but I'm interested first for you to tell me about this very old manga.
Well, it won't come as a surprise to anybody, the diligent listeners who may have revisited our most recent episode. Listening to them chronologically is really paying off now.
Right? You're keeping up with the lore. You've got the storyline.
Yeah. I mentioned that I was reading Blade of the Immortal and Musashi Vagabond in tandem.
Right.
Which is quite an interesting experience. I recommend that to everybody. Do it that way. It's pretty weird.
Are you doing like one chapter on, one chapter off kind of thing?
It was like chunks. I was doing chunks.
Okay.
But I did finish Blade of the Immortal. I did the whole thing. It's a little bit shorter than Vagabond, since Vagabond has continued. It has continued on in its seemingly endless marathon. Oh, Samurai Marathon. Check that movie out. That shit kicked ass.
Note to self.
I busted through Blade of the Immortal, and like I said last time, I find them to be very interesting contrasts, because they essentially deal with, when you get down to it, at the end of the day, they're sort of about the exact same thing, but with like wildly different aesthetic approaches.
Well, they're Sword Guy. They're Sword Guy comics.
Yeah, they're Sword Guy comics. But more than that, like, they are stories about, I guess they both use this term, and maybe this is like a weird translation thing, or this like caught on. It's one of those like earworm things that everybody kind of repeats over and over again. But they call it, it is the cycle of killing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The killing cycle. And they both end up in kind of the same place, where they're both talking a lot about killing people, and then revenge for those killings, and then
yes,
revenge
violence
for those
begets
killings.
violence, and all that.
Violence begets violence. It's a classic theme.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. Come on, we know this already.
Yeah. Well, some of these characters don't even live by the sword, but they do die by the sword.
That's still living by the sword.
It really sucks to not live by the sword and die by the sword, because you didn't even get to do any sword stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the last little bit. You did a little bit of sword stuff.
Getting stabbed or cut by the sword is the worst part of doing sword stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which makes Blade of the Immortal interesting, because our big man Manji, the main character, now, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but he is an immortal.
Oh, you don't say. And he carries a blade?
He actually carries like 12 of them at all times, which is
that's
very
pretty
good.
dope.
It makes for a lot of good visual gags. He almost never actually just uses a sword, which is pretty good. It's a good gag for a samurai comic.
Yeah.
But what's fun about that, I think this is a great twist on the whole like action manga thing, is that because he is an immortal, he loses most of his fights. Like, he eventually ends up winning through just sheer determination, but pretty much every single time Manji goes up against somebody, they're like hacking his fucking limbs off. They're disemboweling him. They're pulling his eyeballs out. It's gruesome, man.
Yeah,
it's
but
fucked up.
he's just being immortal is just like doing sword fighting, like Dark Souls, right? Or any video game. You, the player, have infinite lives, essentially, to keep redoing fights over and over until you win. That's all being immortal is.
Sort of. And here's a fascinating thing. It kind of starts in a place like that, but as the author gains, I think, more narrative confidence as the story goes along, he actually gets really interested in like taking that further. So, for example, there's a whole arc where Manji gets tricked by, some fucking Fed, some piece of shit Fed
God,
who's
I
working
hate feds.
for the Shogun. Yeah. And this guy throws Manji in a dungeon and gives him to a doctor. And the doctor is trying to like study his immortality. And the way he studies Manji's immortality is by essentially doing live operations on him 24/7 for like 2 months straight.
I mean, it sounds like he was just maybe doing that for himself a little bit, right?
There's it's an interesting thing. There's some thematic complexity there. I found it really interesting, but it fulfills that itch of any story with supernatural elements like that, where you go, well, like, how come like the government doesn't like just study this and like break it down? In this one, at some point, the author was like, yeah, why doesn't somebody try to figure out what makes him immortal? And so they do. We take a big ass detour right in the middle of the manga to be like, hey, let's really dig into this whole immortality thing. So he gets his arms and legs cut off every single day. He gets people's cutting him open.
Okay,
at one
now,
point, they leave a scalpel inside him.
Now,
which
hold
is
on,
really
hold
funny.
on. Let me ask you, now, is he regenerating, or does he have to, like, get his limbs, like, put back on?
No, this is a very fun part of his immortality. He has to go out and get his limbs back. If somebody hacks off his limbs, he has to go and find them.
Okay, so that's a bit different than, say, like a Fire Punch scenario where they just have piles and piles of his dismembered parts now.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very different. This is like, this is a bad immortality.
Yeah, that sounds like a sucky immortality. I don't like that.
It's not good. It's not good. Like, you'll survive pretty much anything, but it could go real bad for you. In fact, somebody steals his arm at one point and puts it on themselves and just uses his arm.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Real power play. Yeah,
Wait,
it is cool.
Now, are they also missing an arm, or do they have an extra arm now?
No, that dude cuts off his own arm to use Manji's arm because he was already missing a hand, so he figured, I'll just chop the rest off,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Is Manji's arm, like, is it actually better, or is it a skill issue?
It's hard to say. They do a lot of this, like, soul of the sword or whatever, that kind of bullshit. And the guy is constantly talking about, yeah, this arm has really seen some action. I can tell this arm really knows how to swing a sword. But that seems like bullshit to me, right? Like, that's just hyping yourself up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, I don't know. If I chop my legs off and put some Olympic marathon runner's legs on there, I don't think I would be able to utilize them using the spirit of the legs. But what do I know?
Maybe if you took somebody's legs. Now you got me thinking. I gotta do some pondering on this.
Usain Bolt's legs. Yo, I got these Usain Bolt legs.
They are much more bigger and muscular than my legs.
Yeah, you would instantly grow a foot.
Yeah.
All on the lower end though.
But I don't know if having his legs would necessarily make me better or more skilled at, say, kicking of a kung fu type. kung fu kicking.
I think, frankly, you would become worse at just about everything, as your physical awkwardness would increase like 400%. You'd be falling over constantly.
My body type would not go well with Usain Bolt legs.
Huge, massive calves and thighs, just like rippling muscle, but you're like constantly tripping over everything.
And we see where it got Oscar Pistorius.
Exactly. I was going to say. He tripped so hard he went to jail. Pretend I didn't say that. So I found the way that Blade of the Immortal unfurls over its, like, I don't know, 100, 150 chapters to be really fascinating, because the story and the narrative techniques, like, get more and more complex and deep, and, like, it introduces a bigger and bigger cast to the point where we have incredibly interesting dynamics, where we have characters that we've spent a lot of time with on one side of a conflict and have grown really attached to, having these like whirlwind conflicts with other characters who we have also had that much time spent with and invested in emotionally. And watching them fight to the death and those fights are pretty typical. I mean, they're really well drawn, and the choreography is great. I think he does a really great job with all that stuff. But they are fairly typical samurai sword fight type stuff.
Right.
But the fact that you have emotionally invested so much in the characters on both sides of this thing makes it feel really unique in the space. I felt like this is juicy. This is the good stuff.
It's got some meat on that bone.
Absolutely. This is juicy. And I really appreciate the way that it pays off its themes as well. I think it's definitely a notch above in terms of like emotional and narrative intelligence than most stories in this place. And the way that it takes a concept that seems very rudimentary and builds on it to something that you really would not expect, I find to be, again, completely unique in the space. I think Blade of the Immortal fucking rules. And it makes sense to me now why Takashi Miike made that fucking great live action adaptation about it.
Dope. Always dope with Takashi Miike.
Yeah, watch that shit. Hey, maybe you don't want to read 150 chapters of a manga or whatever, even though it's really, really good and you would probably blaze through it. Sit down, watch the Takashi Miike movie.
I mean, they also made at least one animated movie as well.
Yes, I think there's probably a few different attempts at an animated version of it. I haven't watched those, I don't think, so I can't really comment, but I have seen the live action one, and I know for a fact that rules.
Nice. Hey, I can't remember. Have you or have you not seen Sword of the Stranger?
I believe I watched some episodes of like one of the anime adaptations.
Okay. I'm talking about the movie that came out probably circa 2010, 2011. Anyway, now that you're done reading Blade of the Immortal, I would suggest going and giving that movie another watch if you've already seen it, or just watch it if you haven't. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, you like that?
And it is also a sword guy story. Essentially doing the Kenshin thing.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't want to say grittier, but with a bit more thought to it,
Yeah.
I liked it. Go check it out.
Sure. I'm starting to feel like, hey, I really, really like Blade of the Immortal. And Musashi, the Vagabond, is incredible. And I feel like I've gotten really deep into it now, and it has taken a phenomenal turn where, like, I am... the emotional complexity has really started to shine through in that story, and I'm like crying while I'm reading these incredibly emotionally intense chapters, and it's like, oh god damn, I really don't have to harp on something like Vagabond being worth reading. I think that's probably been pretty covered everywhere else, anywhere anybody has ever talked about manga, but damn, Vagabond's like really fucking good.
Huh.
But it's a lot of sword guy. It's a lot. I mean, I've been reading a lot of sword guy stuff, so.
Well, maybe you need a break.
I might need a cooldown.
In that case, can I suggest something that I recently discovered that's definitely not about sword guys?
No, I'm not reading gal shit.
It's not. It's not this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I swear to God,
Okay.
it's not a Gyaru comic.
Okay, what is it then?
So this one is called, and I am going to butcher this, Hachigatsu Kokonoka Boku wa Kimi ni Kuwareru, or the English title that, I don't think this is the official localization, but it translates to August 9th is when I give myself to you.
That's very specific.
Yeah. And so obviously we do have some kind of a countdown baked into the plot already before even going in. But this is...
I love a countdown.
Yeah.
I really do love a countdown. You know, like in movies when they're like, dawn of the third day.
That's good.
It's like,
well,
hell yeah.
I mean,
Hell
I think
yeah.
you're talking about Majora's Mask. I don't think they've ever done that in a movie.
Yeah, a couple of Paranormal Activity movies do that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I like those.
yeah.
I like those too.
I love those too. Okay, what's special about August 9th?
Well, we don't know yet, or at least I don't know yet. We are building up to it gradually.
Okay.
But we are introduced to this character, kind of your standard loner high school student. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He just recently switched schools.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Ueda, I think. And
Sounds like a real loser.
well, he's having trouble adjusting because he had to switch schools to get away from a stalker at his last school that was making threats against his life.
Uh-oh.
And in fact,
Like credible ones or just like carving dye into the desk like every other unoriginal loser?
well, female classmates of his started going missing. 10 of them, in fact.
10?
Yeah, 10.
What is this, it?
We literally start the manga first chapter. He's like, yeah, I had to change schools to escape the rumors because she killed all 10 of those girls.
What?
Yeah. Well, okay. And here is where we get our first hook. Are you ready for this?
Go for it.
All 10 of those girls were also stalkers that were trying to kill him.
Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm getting a feel for this. This is something, this is very similar to something I read, actually.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it was essentially a boy who's incredibly attractive to, like, demon women.
Oh, no, this is this.
That's this?
I was building up to the final hook, but yes.
Oh, shit.
The final reveal is that they are all versions of yokai, and he is like supernaturally attractive to all of them, and they all want to eat
Oh, man.
him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, I have read this. This is a
Okay.
weird one.
Yeah, it is a weird one.
This is a real weird one.
I am absolutely intrigued by it. I am learning new stuff about yokai that I didn't even know existed.
Hey, how far did you get into it?
I'm about 10 chapters in, and I think there's about 30 out currently, so a third of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there are some feds in it, so...
Well, it is impossible to escape them in this day and age.
Every single story, you got to have a fed in it.
Well, okay, so I was most interested to find out the main yokai demon lady, the one that is following him around, killing all the other demons.
The one that wants to be his fuck mommy.
Yeah, exactly. She is based off of a yokai that I had never heard of before called an escorting wolf. Have you heard of that before?
An escorting wolf.
Yeah.
No, I have never heard of that before.
The legend is that if you are walking along a road at night in the dark, there is a yokai that looks like a wolf or a dog that'll start walking beside you. And if you ever trip or kneel down, it'll eat you. But if you make a big display of intentionally sitting down to take a rest, then it'll be super polite, and it'll supposedly help guide your path to your destination if you follow all the rules. that kind of demon.
Man, I hate demons who have all rules. It's like, come on.
I mean, it's kind of their whole thing, right?
I gotta memorize a whole fucking rule book. Fuck that.
Yeah, who didn't play by any rules was Toby. He didn't play by no rules.
No, Toby didn't give a shit.
He did whatever the fuck he wanted.
Hell yeah. Also, he was he was kind of a peeping Tom demon too, which I think is cool.
He was a bit of a perv. He was a pervy demon.
He was a pervy demon. Also, the only demon I can think of that used the Xbox Kinect. He's a gamer demon.
The worst kind.
The most evil gamer demon.
His demon dad and mom are concerned about him getting a real demon job. He just plays with that Kinect all day.
He's always playing with that Kinect. And his best friends are little kids who play Game Boy and stuff. This is concerning.
Yeah, no, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
No, I swear to God, it's just because of Pokemon cards. We're only friends because of the Pokemon cards.
Sir, you're 35 years old. Why are you playing Pokemon?
You can't play in this tournament. This is meant for 11-year-olds. Also, I'm pretty sure half your deck are cards that have been out of print for 15 years.
You ever get turned away from the event because of an age cap?
The Graybeards.
Yokai demon stalker ladies. I thought this was a fun premise. I'm definitely gonna read the rest of this and keep up with it.
Yeah, I liked it. You know what? The reason I hadn't thought of it in a long time is because they stopped putting out chapters for 6 months or something. So
oh no.
Yeah. It seemed like it was being published at an incredibly slow rate.
It probably isn't pulling in great numbers in whatever magazine it's getting published in.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was fun. And there's definitely, what it reminded me of, right off the bat when revealed the actual premise.
Yeah,
was Jujutsu Kaisen and what's his face's relationship with his demon ghost mommy or ghost girlfriend. Excuse me.
Yeah,
not mommy.
You mean Rika?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not his mom. Come on, man. That's his girlfriend.
Excuse me, girlfriend. His waifu.
You know what? I don't even think they had started dating when she died too. I think that was
because didn't she die when they were little kids, 6 years old?
Yeah. It was one of those weird childhood friend things.
All right. Well, that is everything new that I've been reading that I think is worth talking about at this point, at least.
All right. I think that's probably for me too. I've been really going hard on the Vagabond.
Mm-hmm.
I've been keeping up with a couple of releases. I still think, hey, everybody, Centuria is only 11 chapters in, and I swear to God, I think it's already winning awards. Jump on that shit if you haven't.
I've already heard people comparing Centuria to Berserk, which is wild to me.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a Berserk flavor to it. I would maybe... I'm not sure if it's the most favorable comparison. I would avoid comparing things to Berserk. Because I can't imagine somebody going in and not being a little disappointed, even if it's good.
I mean, the trick is to just not have any expectations for anything.
Yeah, just assume everything's going to be bad. That's usually what I do.
It's gotten us this far.
Yeah. I would say read Centuria, jump on Dear Anemone as well. That one just started. It's probably only 10 chapters in. These are already fucking great. Hey, for once in your miserable life, jump in on the ground floor.
Get in there. It can only do you good, right?
Yeah.
You only have the only place to go is up.
Yeah. Join me in my misery of waiting month to month on a comic that's just getting really, really good. Nothing quite like it. It's a real edging scenario.
And then when it inevitably gets canceled with no resolution, you have something to complain about for the rest of your life.
Yes, I don't know if I mentioned, but Mama Yu Yu got canceled pretty unceremoniously right when I thought it was getting really good.
You held a funeral for it.
Yeah. Chaos Game, which I talked about a little while ago, also dumped unceremoniously when I was also getting really into that. This shit happens.
All right, you wanna take a break?
Yes, let's take a break, and I'll just quickly scan over all the other canceled comics and feel bad. All right, people. It's finally time. You know what time it is. It's time to let you off the leash because we got a new anime season premiering, and it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's eight days until a whole new wave of anime will be washing over you to cleanse your soul.
That's slightly more fingers than the average person has.
We can finally wash the grime of that last season away and prepare ourselves anew, like babies, like infants, yet again new to the anime world. Let us be your Virgils to your Dante and guide you through yet another summer season. Whoa! You ready for some fucking new ass anime, Nate?
They just keep making it. They just keep making more anime, despite my letters for them to cease and desist.
This might be the most anime they've ever made in one season.
That can't possibly be true, but okay.
You know, it might be true. Who knows?
It's a lot of anime. I'm not gonna lie. It's a big list. What done you here, my friend?
It's a pretty big list. It's a pretty big list of anime. Now, I haven't done any kind of quality assurance. I figure we should, live on the show, we should just walk through and see if there's any good ones or if they're all duds like last season.
Well,
I shouldn't say that. Go Loser Ranger, I have been enjoying
come
quite a
on.
lot.
Come on. Go Loser Ranger
And
was
obviously,
good.
yeah, Dungeon Meshi has been very good. And I think the Fable anime actually turned out pretty well.
Listen, you have let your cynicism get the better of you once again, my friend. I feel that taking a walk through this summer's upcoming offers, right? I think that this will be good for you. I think that this might give you hope.
Cynicism is out. Enthusiasm is in.
Yeah, come on.
And boy, am I enthusiastic about Rick and Morty, the anime. Whoo boy.
Oh.
Now, I haven't watched a new episode
Boy.
of Rick and Morty in probably,
Gosh.
you want to say six years? 5 years?
Yeah, no,
6
that
years?
sounds about right. I want to say I stopped watching Rick and Morty around definitely
Season
stopped
3?
watching it when I got married.
Time to put childish things behind me.
Well, just to spite Dan Harmon.
Yeah. I really do want to say like season 4 maybe.
Yeah,
think.
season 4. I think maybe I got like 2 or 3 episodes into season 5. And you know what the last episode that I remember watching is?
I'm gonna guess. What is it? The wedding episode? Because that would fit very well in your.
It would thematically, but no.
Yeah.
It was the last one I remember watching, like as it came out, was the one about like dragons trying to fuck each other. Does that ring any bells with you?
Nope. Definitely did not watch an episode about fucking dragons.
Yeah. So I even got a little bit farther than you, but
Wow.
So why is this happening? Why are we doing Anime Rick?
It's a whole new lease on life on a fan classic, a fan favorite. This is a whole fresh set of eyes on a concept that, depending on who you ask, maybe is wearing a little thin.
You think so?
Maybe a little thin.
Maybe
at this point.
Maybe this is trying to throw a little bit more distance between them and the allegations.
If you told me that the 5-minute parody of Back to the Future that aired one time on the live show Channel 101 back in the early 2000s was going to be a, what do you want to guess, 14-season show on Adult Swim?
Something like that.
Boy,
it can't be that much. It can't be that much. I refuse to believe.
I would not believe that. I would not believe it. You'd be hard-pressed to get me to believe that one. Especially after House of Cosby's was clearly the more... the funnier Justin Roiland
They
short.
obviously should have picked up that one. I wanted to know
man.
what happened with the rest of the evil Cosbys.
Yeah. Oh, man. Look, if you're just going to make something that's just, like, intentionally over-the-top offensive, like, House of Cosby's is clearly the funnier and edgier one. Go watch House of Cosby's if that is even, like, anywhere on the internet.
But pirate it so that you don't give Justin Roiland money.
I don't think it's possible to pay for House of Cosby's. I think that would be a lot of legal issues.
For the record, there are currently 7 seasons of Rick and Morty.
Less than I thought.
Yeah, half as much as you thought.
Half as much as I thought. Well, that's not the only Western to anime adaptation. Obviously, we mentioned Isekai Suicide Squad.
Big one for me. I can't wait to see my favorite character, the Joker, up on the anime big screen, finally, at last.
I love that Joker.
I'm a big fan of Mr. the Joker.
I love the Joker.
I love his makeup. I love his hair. And it is makeup. People try and say that that's just his skin color because of the chemicals. But he, like, if you're paying attention to the original comics, right, by Bob Kane, he fell into a vat of makeup and came up looking like that. That's canon.
I've always felt like eventually he would have stumbled upon the makeup gun technology from The Simpsons. The funny thing is he was a stand-up comedian. He wasn't a clown.
Yeah.
So what was up with that? What happened there?
What's up with that?
What is up with that?
They call him the Joker, but you never see him be funny.
He's not that funny. I did like going to the IMAX screening of whatever movie that fucking was, where they played the first 20 minutes of the movie as the trailer for The Dark Knight. That was fun. That was a special memory for me.
That's pretty good. That's a good marketing technique, especially since that's probably like the best 20 minutes in the movie.
It's a really good sequence.
And I like The Dark Knight, despite that it is basically fascist propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, it has its issues, let's say. It has its issues. But watching that dude just punch a hole through Julia Roberts' brother, it's pretty good shit.
Good. That's pretty good.
Pretty good shit.
I like that.
But here's a slightly more nefarious version of the Western to Eastern transition. Let me tell you about a little show called Mirai no Kurobakuke Akuyaku Reijo Moriarty no Isekai Kanzen Hanzai Hakusho.
Now, I recognize one word in there, one troubling word, one that kind of made my heart seize up and my spine go cold. Did you say Moriarty?
Eagle-eyed listeners would have picked out the name Moriarty. Now, this is obviously not the first time the name Moriarty has been evoked, even in recent anime memory. I don't know if you ever watched an episode of Moriarty the Patriot, but
I don't think Moriarty was a patriot, but okay.
In the classic stories, he was really more of a self-centered piece of shit.
No, you don't understand. He was doing crime for England, like James Bond.
Yeah, sort of like how the CIA sold crack to give weapons to the rebels, right? He was doing the same thing.
We linked the entire opium trade back to Moriarty.
Yeah, but he was doing it for the crown, like in Black Butler.
We got it, Morty. We found Moriarty. We tracked him down. It's the Morty anime, Morty.
They must have done a Moriarty, right?
Absolutely.
Like 7 seasons. 7 seasons, man.
The only reason not to do it is because the joke is so obvious.
It's not a very good joke. I mean, I can't even really think what the angle would be.
Frankly, the angle is that they hop dimensions into a world where they're Sherlock coded, right?
Well,
and they call him Moriarty.
Rick has definitely been Sherlock at some point. That is 100% a lock. But I'm not sure if they made the jump to Moriarty.
They absolutely did. They wouldn't call him Morty, but Watson.
Yeah. Well, I'm never going to find out, so we're going to have to live in the murky world of speculation there. Okay, but I will tell you this.
I want to put Rick and Morty out of my head so bad. I just want to stop thinking about it so bad right now.
Let's stop thinking about it. See, now this is a more interesting take. Unlike Moriarty the Patriot, where Moriarty is kind of a sexy anime boy who is doing underhanded... They're not quite crimes. They're living in the gray area. But on behalf of his queen and country, this Moriarty, the most fearsome criminal, by the way, I don't know if you know that about him.
What does that even mean? What quantifies a fearsome criminal in this sense?
Well, he did get all of those guys to kill people and rob banks for him, and he didn't even have to do it himself. That's pretty fearsome.
That is true. I mean, in the sense that he I assume, paid a lot of people to do those crimes. Which is like,
well,
if they're doing crimes to rob banks, but they're getting paid to do it.
You're 3 steps behind Moriarty already, because you see, he doesn't have to pay any of those guys because they all get caught by Sherlock as soon as they hand over the goods. You didn't think about that. You didn't think about that, did you?
Damn, I've been outwitted once again.
Yep, by the great James Moriarty. In Mirai no Kunomakuke Akuyaku Reiho Reijo Moriarty no Isekai Kanzen Hanzai Hakusho.
Okay, there's got to be a shorter title that we can refer to this by.
I'm going to translate this as Moriarty's perfect crime. All of his crimes are perfect, by the way. That's a real misnomer.
Well, you know, Moriarty's greatest crime is convincing you that he doesn't exist.
Once Sherlock disproved his non-existence, as we all remember, they did plunge over the Reichenbach Falls together to their deaths.
Allegedly.
And I know there's some speculation into whether Sherlock did live or not. Through his genius deductions, he managed to figure out which way to fall on a big rock as to not break your spine in 4 places. But Moriarty does not have those skills. He definitely cracked his head open.
Well, because he's like a 70-year-old man and he can't move around very quick.
They're both very old men, and Sherlock was pretty deep in the fucking K-hole in the entire time. But in this continuity, Moriarty does die, but he finds himself, and get this, in the other world.
Oh!
Yeah.
Now, is this what kind of world are we talking about here?
Well, it's not quite a fantasy world. It's not a game world. But it is kind of a lateral move to him because it is sort of almost a Victorian era, Englandish, European-ish world.
Okay.
The big twist here is he is now a beautiful young lady.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And I'm into it.
Yeah, you like that. Now, here's a twist that I did not see coming. Now, I knew the initial premise that Moriarty dies and becomes a beautiful young lady in the fantasy Europe world. This is the part I did not see coming. He retains none of his Moriarty memories.
Okay, well, that's going against formula. I'll give them that. But to what purpose does this serve the story or the character? Like, I'm interested. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but, like, do they make this, like, a big plot point? Because it sounds like he just wakes up as a new person who is not Moriarty.
He still has a genius mind for crime, though, according to, this brief synopsis. Frankly, this synopsis is very confusing. So I'm not even sure how far we're supposed to take this. But I gotta say, this is so grotesque that I am 100% watching the first episode of this, no matter what.
You're morbidly curious to a fatal degree.
Yes, we've talked multiple times. I think the last time we talked about this was about Deranged Detective. You remember that?
Yes.
Ron Kamunahashi. And
who could forget Ron? I love Ron. I'm homies with Ron.
Ron, yes. And the twist eventually being revealed at the end of that season that
he's a fucking descendant of Sherlock Holmes, yeah.
Ron is a blood descendant of Sherlock Holmes, but there is an entire descendant line of Moriarty as well that are hunting him.
Real Hatfield-McCoy situation.
Yeah, real clans at war type scenario. And I did mention that I find anime's use of Sherlock Holmes to be, how should I put this?
Ghoulish,
brain dead, antithetical to the entire spirit and letter of the Sherlock law. But this one is just so out there that I think I might actually wrap around to enjoying it. So I am 100% on board for Mirai no Kunomakuke Akuyaku Reiho Reijo Moriarty no Isekai Kanzen Hanzai Hakusho. That premieres July 20th. I'm putting that in the to-watch pile.
All right.
Let's see.
Okay. I want to pick one here.
You pick one.
Now, I do want to reiterate, I'm not just picking off, like, the I'm going totally off of title here. Okay, you put this list together. These are all things that you put in front of me. I just want to make that clear. You know, I think there needs to be an understanding of layers of culpability here.
All right, now that that has been well established, what is your choice based purely on title and vibes alone?
Can you tell me about plus-sized elf? Is that just exactly what it sounds like?
No. Oh, God, you went straight to plus-sized elf, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, you put it here.
All right, here we go. Plus-sized elf. Now, this is something that I vaguely remember reading like one chapter of years ago. It might not have even been this, but something very close to the concept. Yeah, this is about like what if a elf girl was like kind of overweight. Period.
Oh, okay, that was the end. That was the end of the statement.
That's the end.
I was expecting at least like maybe 15 more words than that, but okay.
Yeah, no. It's not even in a fantasy world.
It's just in a modern setting, but there are elves.
Yeah, she's just an elf. And she's kind of overweight. So I guess she's maybe like a little self-conscious about it. There's a character who is a massage therapist, who we see a lot. I think he's kind of our perspective character. And now the anime itself maybe won't tip its hat all the way to this point, but this is clearly a fetish manga.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is clearly in the realm of fetish territory.
Yeah.
There's no way that this is not exploitative and creepy and weird in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
I want to give it the benefit of the doubt so bad, but just looking at the promo art for it, this is giving me bad vibes.
Yeah. This is pretty egregious.
And you want to watch this. You're telling me that this is on your to watch list.
I did say I read one chapter of it many years ago. I am nothing if not open-minded.
You are a admirable person, I guess, then. Does that make you a good person? I can't say.
Look, as long as I self-identify as a good person, you have to just take my word for it.
All right. Well, I guess that's that then.
That's plus-sized elf. That's what it is.
Okay.
I really can't stress enough that that's what it is.
For the love of all that is dear, there's got to be something that you've put on this list that you are actually looking forward to that seems good, right?
I'm glad you say that because there is one thing. Now, I'm going to skip over the obvious one, which is quality assurance in another world, which we already talked about. We talked about it a lot.
It's got quality in the title. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We don't have to talk anymore about that. But now here's something I am legitimately excited about, and obviously, I'm not saying anything about its quality. As we've established, I am a sucker for the death game genre as a whole, and this is a death game. This one is called Tasuketsu, or Tasuketsu, Fate of the Majority.
Okay.
I really don't need to know anything beyond the fact that it is a death game, but it seems like this is along the lines of, let's say, As the Gods Will, which I have hyped up to the heavens.
Well, that's one of your big ones.
Pardon the.
You don't need to call attention to it. Just move on.
But this one is about a world wherein a mysterious creature called the Emperor begins essentially wiping out the human race, one half by one half at a time.
I mean, that'll take care of a lot of people pretty quick. Like,
oh yeah,
just go half by half by half.
Yeah. Now I don't know what kind of games or criteria the Emperor is selecting from, but essentially everyone who falls into the majority of, blank, maybe it's even a popularity poll, who knows? They get wiped out, leaving only the minority. And this seems to happen maybe every night. Pretty brutal.
I've got to do the math because how many nights do you get if there's roughly 7 billion people on the planet and you're eliminating half each night? How many nights is that?
Well, half is the least amount of people that can die in one night.
So more than half can die.
Potentially every single person but one could die in a single night based on this majority rule.
This doesn't sound like a fair game.
They never are, really. That's kind of the charm of them, is that the deck is stacked against you.
Yeah, but like, what's the hook? Usually the rules, the structure of the game provide the, narrative tension by which our characters struggle, right?
Yes.
But this just sounds like there's a evil god arbitrarily killing half of the population every day or
Again,
more.
that is kind of the thrust of most death games, is an evil god is wiping out a varied group of humanity. Sometimes up to, like in this show, all of them.
Okay, but this isn't like the people aren't participating, right? This is just like, it sounds like he just announces, like, all right, I'm killing this group of people.
Do you think people choose to participate in death games? Do you believe that is something that happens a lot? Can I disabuse you of that notion here and now?
People's circumstances are just a manifestation of their own will to work hard. Some people are willing to put in the effort and some aren't. It's not my fault if you can't survive to the end of the death game because you got binoculars and I got an AK at the start, okay? That's on you.
Look, these Gen Zs aren't willing to participate in death games, and that's why they'll never own houses.
Okay, but that is unironically some people's opinion, though.
Oh, poor Gen Zs. Forced to participate in the death game we call the modern economy. Am I right? Am I right, people?
What's the deal with that?
Anyway, put this one in the watch pile. I do not need to be sold on any death game anime. I will get in there day one.
He loves every death game he sees.
From Death Game A to Death Game Z. That's already 3 shows in the 2 watch pile. This season is shaping up to be pretty good.
Okay, all right. Let's take a look. What else you got on here? I want to... Oh, here's the one. Here's a big one. People are talking about this. My dear friend Nokotan.
Yes, somehow, I don't know what happened, but somehow this has become a real meme pick.
I mean, it's because someone made a 10-hour loop of one bit from the trailer with that kind of catchy... You know what I'm talking about, the music.
I don't. I haven't watched the trailer.
Oh. Well, go watch it and look up the meme. You'll know what I'm talking about. But,
did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, I watched the trailer.
Did it sell you on the show?
I think it looks okay.
Okay.
Again, I know very little about other than the fact that it seems kind of in the vein of other spoof anime. You know, kind of like oh god, what's the one about?
You can't think of one.
I can think of one. I just can't think of the name. You know, the girl with the green hair. Azumanga Daioh. Thank you.
Yatsuba.
And Nichijou. Yatsuba. Yes, those are all the ones that I was trying to think of. They were clearly in my head, but as you know, brain damage over the years has extremely deteriorated any kind of short-term memory that I have.
Yes, you are absolutely destroyed. Now, I haven't watched the trailer, but I have read a fair amount of the manga. So I can elucidate any part of it that you have questions about if you want.
Well, I assume that it's your standard bizarre setup, right? You know, a girl at a school and her classmate is a half deer. Is that right? She's half deer. Or
she has antlers.
Yeah, she is an envoy of the deer.
You could say that, I suppose.
And it seems like it relies a lot on pop culture references. Probably a lot of Japanese pop culture references, but I don't know. It looked fun. It looked funny. Is there a reason I should be concerned?
Not necessarily concerned. I think, those jokes where, like, a character does something really outrageous and then the straight man character goes, but that's not a thing that a normal person would say. You know, just to drive home that, like, the outrageous thing is a joke.
Right.
Do you like that kind of joke?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I do. I think I do like that kind of joke.
Then you're going to love Nokotan.
Okay, all right.
It's mostly manga references and then that kind of joke over and over again.
I mean, it's a very Japanese style of joke. I'll give them that.
Yeah. I think I did post about this on Blue Sky a while back, but like very early on, they do a big Kazuo Umez reference that I found delightful. So I was like begrudgingly on board. I do find they do stray a little bit into more of a hard gag comic than something like Nichijou or Azumanga Daioh or Yotsuba. It is a lot closer to set up punchline, set up punchline, set up punchline kind of thing.
Sure.
The main conceit is that our main girl, and I do find this to be a little weak. Our main girl is much like a lot of straight rom-com. Let's say, like Horimiya, for example. Our main girl is an honor student who is a bit of a slob in her private life and has a bit of a spotty, maybe even, now get this, maybe even a bit of a delinquency thing in her past. And she doesn't want anybody to find that out.
That would be so embarrassing.
Yeah, it would be really embarrassing if somebody found out because she's an honor student now and she has to be perfect.
You can't have that. You can't have a checkered past if you're trying to be an honor student.
Yeah,
it's just not how it's done.
So she's a little worried about this mysterious girl with antlers who kind of comes into her life like a whirlwind of chaos and constantly threatens to expose her checkered past to the rest of the school. Now, that premise is about as thin as you can imagine. And even that thin premise gets abandoned pretty quickly.
I don't know. I think there's legs to high school girl has a checkered past as like a Yakuza. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think it's perfectly fine. It didn't really do anything particularly offensive, though. There are some weird incest jokes later on that maybe I'm not super into. But hey, you know what? It's a schoolgirl gag comic. Of course, incest was going to come up at some point.
It's part of the formula, honestly.
It's part of the formula. This is definitely a watch the first episode kind of show.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'll check it out. Let's pick a couple more things. What are you really looking forward to?
Well, I mean, the thing that I am actually very much looking forward to is the Mononoke movie, which is July 25th. But that's, less said about that, the better. Just watch Mononoke and you'll know if you're going to watch the movie. As far as like things in this season that are exciting, I guess, the guy who did Assassination Classroom, his new manga, The Elusive Samurai, that is getting an animated adaptation this season, which could be good. People seem to really like that manga. I despite myself, I did end up really liking Assassination Classroom. So I think I probably would like Elusive Samurai if I get around to it, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna give the anime a shot first, and if I like that, I'll go back and read the manga. That's kind of how I'm feeling about it.
Mm-hmm. A bit apprehensive, but willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, this is another one where it's sort of like a reimagining of Japanese history. It's one of those kind of things,
I mean, they love to do it.
Yes.
They love to reimagine their history.
Yes. This is about Hojo Tokiyuki, the heir of the Kamakura shogunate, as an 8-year-old who gets betrayed by other clans and has to become an heir in hiding. A bit of an Anastasia, if you will, without the communism.
I was gonna go towards the Count of Monte Cristo, but I assume it's not quite as vengeful driven as that.
He doesn't get captured or anything, but it is as vengeful as that. He has to reclaim his kingdom, that kind of thing.
Okay, hear me out.
As an 8-year-old.
Does reclaiming a kingdom sound like a whole thing?
Well,
right?
What do you mean by a whole thing?
If you're not raised from birth to inhabit that kind of role, like, would you want to be a king, like, and actually have the job that comes with being it?
Well, if you're a little aristocratic Japanese boy whose entire culture has taught him that the only important thing is your blood lineage, then I'm not really sure what else you would have in your life than
I get it. I guess
the burning desire to reclaim your family's birthright.
I'm thinking, I'm trying to put myself in that scenario, and I think I'd just kind of, I'd be cool with it.
You just fuck off.
Yeah. No, I'd just be like, I'd be chill. I think I'd be chill.
Well, his whole gimmick is that he basically runs away constantly. So, I mean,
that doesn't sound chill at all. That sounds like the opposite of chill.
well, you have only two choices, right? Kill everybody or run away. What else are you gonna do?
You go chill. You just like hang out, just like kind of vibe. Be in the moment. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard for me to visualize that, but then again, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of aristocracy to begin with. I'm not sure whose side I'm on in this story, to be honest.
Yeah, everybody sucks here.
Yeah, they all kind of suck.
I hope he never gets his kingdom back. Fuck that kid.
I kind of do too. I think I hope he loses, but I also hope his enemies lose. But that's anime.
No, now hold on. We can't move on without mentioning there's one last thing that caught my eye here that I think really begs
Okay.
some explanation.
I was gonna try to get past it, but okay.
Want to tell me about Meiri Kanojo to Zanen Nakarashi? What's that?
Oh, that was not what I was going for. I thought you wanted to talk about Look Back, but okay, all right, no, sure. Sure, why not? Fuck Look Back, right? Who cares?
Yeah, no, fuck it. Fuck that Fujimoto guy.
Yeah, he's doing all right for himself. He doesn't need the promotion, right?
Yeah, he doesn't need our help.
That is...
You know what? He can come to us. He can come to us when he wants to collaborate.
That is June 28th, though.
I am looking forward to it.
I'm pretty excited about that. Now, which one were you interested in? Say that again for me.
Meiburi Kanojo to Zanen Karashi, but I think you put a different localized English title in here.
I was really hoping that wasn't the one that I was thinking of. You must be referring to... Do I really have to say it?
Yeah, you have to say it. You have to say it this time.
Yeah, you must be referring to Chubby Girlfriend and Pity Boyfriend. Oh, fuck.
Come on, man. What is this?
This is a romantic...
I'm genuinely curious. Tell me what this is.
I'm gonna read right off the sheet. This is a romantic comedy that follows Mariko, a plus-sized nurse who loves to eat. Having no love experience, she thinks her life is devoid of love until she meets a handsome man named Nagi at a group date that she is invited to. Nagi then asks her out on a date. Yeah,
You know what?
Yeah.
This doesn't look good, but just giving it a cursory glance, I am willing to make the statement that this looks less overtly fetishistic than the overweight elf one.
Yes, it's true. I'm worried that it goes the other way.
No,
to be honest.
I'm not entertaining any hopes that this is like, being any kind of sensitive or giving thought to this actual premise of what it's like to date and live as a plus size woman, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure this theme gets handled very well in anime when it's not a specific fetish. Here's what I'll say. What's interesting about this, if I could say that at all about anything in this,
you can. You shouldn't, but you just did. So let's move on.
The thing about Chubby Girlfriend and Pity Boyfriend is that this is something that is being labeled a quote-unquote light anime. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, this is an anime based on a light novel. No, you fool! That's already a thing. No, this is, in fact, a new category of anime that is like being marketed as something like one step above a motion comic, if you know what that is.
I do, and I think I know what you're talking about. It is kind of like a missing step between that motion comics and just doing like like flash animations, I'm guessing.
I guess so. Yeah. This is like a very elaborate motion comic, and this seems to be sort of spearheading a new movement towards creating lighter weight productions of anime, in tandem of a lot of anime now being like, I'm sure you've seen this around, but being called a Twitter anime or a line anime, something that's being produced independently at first and then is picked up.
Oh man, this is Quibi. This is what they wanted Quibi to be.
Kinda, yeah, a little bit. Meiruko-chan, which I've talked about a few times now, this is sort of how it began. But that became a full anime, whereas this one is getting the motion comic treatment.
Right.
It seems to be kind of a push towards getting more anime out the door without investing quite as much time and money into it, which is interesting. I'm interested to see how this pans out. I'm not sure I'm in love with the animation style they went with. I've seen some motion comics that I actually really do like, and I'm not against motion comics in general. This one just seems to be, I don't know. There's a lot of that kind of stretching and warping in the place of animating.
Yes, that kind of like bubbly, like balloony motion. I know what you're talking about.
Yes. I don't know. It could go either way. This really is just a 30-second teaser kind of thing. So who knows? But I did find the idea of pushing the quote-unquote light anime style to be kind of noteworthy. But I guess we'll find out.
So this one's definitely going on your watch list then?
Oh, God.
All I'm saying is that you've got some interesting taste, my friend. Interesting taste that maybe take the visibility off of my Gyaru comics. Maybe that's what it does. Do you agree with me, listener?
Last season we had Otaku Elf. This season we have Overweight Elf.
What do you think next season's Elf anime is going to be?
Boy, I feel like I would get in hot water if I started to speculate. So maybe we should just wrap it up. This was a hell of an episode. I guess we can cover the rest of the show's next episode.
All right.
I am boiling alive, so let's call it here. What a hell of an episode about anime. Well, a bunch of anime in this episode. We brought you so much anime.
Okay, all right, he's rambling. Go do the engagement stuff, listeners.
God.
Like, subscribe. We're on TikTok. Follow us on Blue Sky.
I'm sweating out of my eyeballs.
There. He's dying over here, so I got to get him to the hospital, like, right now. Okay, bye.
Just about anything into a mic, but I won't do that.